All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another stream. Today at this stream we are going to talk about uh oh god, I even forgot what I was going to say. Oh man, this is Tabletop Junkie unscripted. We're going to talk about Werewolf, the Forsaken. And actually I do have a screen share to pop up, so we're going to pop that bad boy right up here. Be like, yo. Oh, good. That's actually not all of it, but there we go. We got the title right up there. Artwork really good actually for its time. I believe Werewolf the Forsaken was released between 2003 and I used to be a werewolf, but I'm all right now. No, you're not. You still game with me. You're not all right. You're gonna make a werewolf character eventually. We're going to play Werewolf the Forsaken, Colin. Get over it. All right. Besides breaking a little bit from there. All right. So Werewolf the Forsaken was actually brought out into a new World of Darkness setting, but made by White Wolf Publishing. Back in 2000. This is from the 2003 to 2012 set. I do know that. Let's see here. And this was actually 2005. Was released. Werewolf Forsaken First Edition was released back in March 14th, 2005. It was a successor to Werewolf, which was discontinued in 2004. That was probably Werewolf the Apocalypse. White Wolf Publishing rebooted the World of Darkness series in 2004 with the new rulebook and setting. Werewolf Forsaken was one of the first games. Was the first new games released under the new rule set, along with Vampire the Requiem and Mage the Awakening. Since 2011, Werewolf Forsaken books have been reprinted as part of the classic World of Darkness line. Yes, because there is now 2 editions. We are covering the first edition. So, Werewolf the Forsaken basically, like the other books, dives you right into the World of Darkness setting, where the supernatural exists, and you are basically a character that lives out in another form of the world. Basically dives into your character, and when you make a character for this type of setting, you are the werewolf. Just like in Vampire the Requiem, you play the vampire, and in the main core book, you play a mortal. Diving into the World of Darkness, and basically a whole new section or perception of the world. Stemming from there, we are going to actually, we're going to minimize that because it's not very properly up at the moment. So we're just going to actually scroll down. So in order to play this part of the game, you are going to need the main core rulebook, which actually allows you to play Immortal. But this basically adds, some claws and fur into what, basically your Immortal's having a bad day. We are actually going to do a screen share again because I did pass some majorly good art back in the day. I may just have to try and see if I can... Oh, that is bringing it out, actually. Didn't think about that. See if I can close this in a little bit and then see if we can... Because I want to capture... And I do have the PDF copy straight from White Wolf Publishing, drive-through-rpg.com. So we are actually going to go a little bit further into this. So traveling all the way down, this does actually give you some good. And like I said, you'll need the main core rulebook. This is the first edition, so it is an out-of-print version of World of Darkness. However, I do not care. Personally, I don't really like the second edition rules. There wasn't much of a difference between first and second edition. It just wasn't. They did change a few basic things. I don't know. This is what I started off with. And look at this grand art right here. Look at that right there. That is a hulking wolf right there. Other forms of werewolves. Full wolf form. Partial wolfman form. In this one, you actually do gain a lot of different aspects. I'm not gonna lie to you there. This is actually pretty good. So that does end the art. So the art, I definitely sent you a message on this. Okay. And Westward Smile. Westward Smile, welcome. I actually would like to welcome you. I don't think... Did we ever welcome you? It never said anything. Let me see if I can reset my session and see if I can get... Alright. Data successfully reset. Huh. It looks like none of my widgets are working anymore. I usually lurk. Oh, okay. Well, if you haven't subscribed, please take a minute to subscribe to the channel, as I am doing a review on Werewolf, the first edition. This is basically, as I was stating earlier, this is an out-of-print book, but we are going to dive right basically into it. This is basically, Werewolf the Forsaken is a story of an ancient race, part wolf, part human. Once, again, beasts among, in a hunter's paradise, beasts among men, monsters walking among the mortal realm, but yet their realm's not so freaking mortal. So Werewolf dives into many different traditions, and basically about werewolves and stuff like that. It does actually bring into stuff like your first change, how werewolves begin the first change, tribes, packs, the 5 forms of being a werewolf, and some myths and some facts about werewolf, kind of similar, and how Vampire Requiem was actually presented. It does start off with the myths of werewolves, however, though. And then basically how to use the book, which you have to use it in conjunction with the main core rulebook. So this book is, you have to have both books because there are merits that you can take from the main core rulebook. There's not merits, like when playing Werewolf, you can't take merits from the vampire book. Those are not for you. Those are for your vampire characters. But you can still take merits from the main core rulebook and the new merits from the Werewolf book. This book actually presents to you, like I said, the world of werewolves, many different types of the many different forms of werewolves and lichens, and basically its own jargon. For instance, each book does present its own thing called a lexicon, which I think I mentioned in the Vampire Requiem review. For instance, there is the Firstborn, okay? The First Tongue. The First Tongue is the ancient language of the spirit world, which has existed largely unchanged since the beginning of time. Firstborn, the great wolf totem of the Uratha tribes. The Uratha is actually a form of many different tribes, all formed into one. They are actually, I believe, in here, they're actually a sense of, like, branches. But they are all known as the Uratha. Firstborn, the great wolf totems of the Uratha tribes. Yes. And it actually adds in its own flavor for you to immerse yourself into, Werewolf the Forsaken. let's basically start looking at some of the different things. What basically are werewolves? They are creatures that are sometimes forced to change during certain phases of the moon, or certain to change in other forms. In this game, they actually present 5 different forms of werewolves, of which is accessible to your character on all levels. So no matter what part of the tribe you are, there are certain forms you have. You have the Haishao, which is known as human. The Dalu, near human. The Guru, no, Guru, yeah, Guru. Guru, which is a wolf man. The Urshul, near wolf. And the Yurhan, known as the full wolf. Each one of these forms is actually accessible to your character at all times. And and depending on what tribe and what faction you come from, what wolf blood you have in you, basically determines which form and which phases of the moon you change on. It's not always a full moon in this one, and many different ones there are different phases of the moon that you change on. We will actually begin with, let's see here. Let's begin with the world of the Forsaken. We're going to actually dive in here. Let me see if I can look up some different... First chain. Let's see if I can look up some different things here. Okay, so they actually have stuff like stray wolves and tribes. Stray wolves are generally wolves that actually... it might happen that there is no local pack, or that the local pack can't find the emerging werewolf at the time. Stray wolves generally are loners that wreak havoc because they probably don't know much about themselves. But in the end, they are either somehow dispatched of, or they just live with their own life. It is kind of that part kind of gives me a little bit of I don't know. It's a little bit blurry on how that is. Speaking of which, I just realized I'm not wearing my glasses, but we'll keep going. All right, so diving into the many tribes, there is 5 different tribes that strive to hunt down the Aratha's destined prey in the Luna's name, is basically what they are. There's the Blood Talons, the Bone Shadows, the Hunters in Darkness, the Iron Masters, and the Storm Lords. I actually like that, the Storm Lords. There are packs and pack bonds. These, by choosing your pack, you actually, and then depending on your bond, basically depends on how your werewolf changes, such as the bonds of the moon, known as the auspice. For instance, the full moon, which is known as the Rahu. There is the gibbous moon, known as the Kalith. I can't really see that real. Oh, the Kaliths. Then you have the Elodolf, which is the half moon, and then the Araka, which is the new moon. Oh, and we can't forget about this famous one. If they actually say the freaking name outside of the scratchiness, known as the crescent moon. It's also known as the Hetherer. I don't know. I'm probably botching that. So that basically tells when your wolf actually will transform. That's basically your moon that you transform on, or what phase that's in. Very difficult. I haven't really played too much Werewolf myself, but I did play it a little bit back in the day. And there's other different types of things that they do also. So you have the Auspice, the Tribe, and the Lodges that they each all offer. It's all different for each game that you play through. The Auspice is the moon phases, the Tribes is the wolf pack that you're a part of, and the Lodges, I think, are the smaller factions of each wolf pack. So so this book actually goes into full detail about how to describe that to you, as well as going into how to create a character. Going a bit further, it goes a bit into character creation, And it has some really cool kick-ass art right here as well. I'm actually going to share this real quick. Like that art. This book is actually about a little over 300 pages. So it's actually a long read. So it's very informative. All right, so step one, you do have, is like every other World of Darkness game. You have your character concept, then you select your attributes, then you go forth into your selecting your skills, and then you select your specialties. Same normal as ever. However, before you reach step 5, which is you add your werewolf template, which is where Auspice, is it Auspice? Yeah, Auspice, tribe, and your lodges come in. That's when you start adding in the rituals and gifts of a werewolf. And then, of course, you do select your merits. We do actually have, I think, one additional merit. Let's see. I think we actually have stuff called, there's a gift list, which is like, I explained that a little bit. I didn't go too much into it. So we do have merits. New werewolf merits include fetish and totem, very specialty, and wolf-blooded is a new merit available to normal human characters, but not to werewolves. So if you wanted to play, so if you wanted to still play in a werewolf Forsaken game, but play a mortal, there is something called wolf-blooded, which I'm not quite sure what that is. Like I said, I haven't played werewolf too much, but I have read this book a little bit, from page to, from cover to cover. And even some of it still is kind of like, oh my god, like, I can't wrap my mind around it because there is so much here. It's very much, very good, very good information to well get into. As well as good art to look at. But, alas, like Vampire the Requiem, you do eventually actually get into having a full page of the werewolf template quick reference. So this is actually very useful. I kind of use these quite often, especially in there. So we actually do go into specialty skills and stuff for each tribe and whatnot. Oh, and this is the moon phases as well. Each one, it looks like each one, as well as tribes, are listed under gifts lists and stuff for each person, depending on your moon phase, and your tribe is what is actually given to you, or you're allowed to select from. Going a bit further there, then we go into antagonists, which is always my favorite, because that adds, I think, antagonists and storytelling, because that's like the special rule stuff. So then we get into the antagonists of werewolves. What are antagonists to werewolves? Well, aside from basically mortals, hunters, geists, and all that good stuff, we then get into basically the enemies of, werewolves. And I'm trying to get down to a few right now real quick. But this book is so freaking long. Let's see. Oh, wait, that's probably not the right one. That's actually probably the special rules and system stuff, which each one adds in their own stuff there. Let's see. Pack, territory, horror, plot, antagonists. There we go. So, some antagonists we have is basically humans. Basically reveling in the power of their first change. Many werewolves think that humans are now beneath them, and so they hunt them, and humans may actually basically basically might get caught in the crossfire of something that they're not supposed to be doing, in the middle of. But that happens in World of Darkness. That happens quite a bit. Then there's the pure tribes. The ancient tales maintain that not all of the werewolves chose to participate in the replacement of Father Wolf. While many of the Aretha stepped up to do what had to be done, the ancestors of those who called themselves the pure held back out of the indecision or possibly fear. So they are the wolf. So your current werewolf, um, your current werewolf character, and whatever tribes they are part of, basically have replaced what you call known as the first father, and they tend to be, and the pure packs are kind of like, no, we didn't want to do that. That's why we did not do that. Many pure ones are called the Fire Touch, the Iron Claws, and the Elderman. The Elderman, or the Subtle Seductress. I don't know what a Subtle Seductress is, being a werewolf or having a lot of fur, so I don't want to get into that. Maybe I need to read that. The Subtle Seductress. Perhaps we should slip out here and go somewhere a little more liking. It sounds as though they pretty much rewritten the entire setting. They did, going from Werewolf the Apocalypse to that, yes. Okay, so free werewolves realize that the Azulu are just as capable of moving unseen among humanity as they are. Indeed, some of the spider hosts... Oh! The Subtle Seductress is a spider host. The Azulu. Oh, here we go. The Azulu, or spider hosts, are some of the greatest foes the werewolves face. Their dedication to reinforcing the divided between the worlds of the matter and spirit puts them in direct conflict with the people. Damn. So the Azulu are spider hosts to a spider spirit. That's for the furries out there. So here's some hints or some suggestions about how to use a Zulu. Zulu who appear human walk quietly and leave few traces, but it's this aura of mystery that makes them more effective. It sounds like Black Widow spiders. Yeah. And so spider hosts are... Some spider hosts archetypes are the Subtle Seductress or Solitary Spinner. This is what they look like. If they ever make an appearance, this is what they look like. That is a Solitary Spinner. The first that most packs know of is the spider hosts in their territory. People invading and trying to eat humans. Man. Pass. Yep. Many different antagonists. How about were-rats? Who likes were-rats or werewolves that resemble were-rats? Yeah, look at that. Sewer slave driver. A few Bashilu is what they called, stand out from the swarm as more intelligent, more devious, and more adventurous, and in the end, more deadly. The Ridden. Thralls of Madness. The Ridden. The Hithinamu are creatures that exist as the mockeries of the Aratha own existence. Just like werewolves, they are creatures of both flesh and spirit, but unlike the Aratha, that isn't their natural state. Instead, a spirit joins with the host through forcible possession or voluntary merger. It seems like werewolves actually have a big deal with the spirit world. Like, some big beef. Or at least spirits have issues with there. But then again, that probably goes with the ancient tribes. Kind of gives me a little bit of the Native American feel of like the great spirits and the spirit realm merging together, like shaman or something like that. But not like your current like lichens, like werewolves where you're plagued by a disease. More like this is who you are. It's in your genes. Have fun with it. Although I think werewolves can make other werewolves by biting them. Actually, that's probably in the myth and legend section. Let's check that out. Let me see. Threats of the Shadow Realm Spirits. Duh. I think we've read a whole bunch of that. The Ridden, the Exiles, the Hosts, many different things. I cannot show you guys this picture, or else I would. Little inappropriate. So I'm not going to. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Many different things for you guys to check out. I do recommend it, especially if you're a big into, werewolves or the supernatural. Definitely big check out. And I think it costs the same as the other books. Let me check out on that. Okay, I'll check that in a minute. Let me see here. You guys can get a copy of this book, I think, for roughly $25. Both the PDF and physical copy on drivethrurpg.com through the White Wolf Publishing portion, which I'm going to have to look up because I already bought the book from there, so it's not going to take me directly to the site or to the part I need to be in, argumentatively. Alright, so... Oh, Jesus. You're going to take me to a lot of locations. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Got it right here. Alright, so you can get the soft cover for $20.64 plus shipping and handling, or a hardcover for $25.69 plus shipping and handling, or you can just get the PDF for like $19.99. That's actually a pretty fair price for being an out-of-print book, I like to think. TTRPGs are kind of expensive, and that's just, that's just the cost for them. But mind you, it's also out of print, so it's going to take you a couple weeks to get the print version to you. But in the meanwhile, you can actually read the PDF and actually thumb right through it. Once again, like the previous books that we've actually gone through and that I've actually shared with you, it is very informative and it has its own section for how to deal with werewolves and its own, basically, how werewolves fit into the world of darkness. So it's very informative and it's got very good artwork. I can't show off all the artwork because it's not very much appropriate to show off on stream, so therefore we're not actually going to do that. And it does have its own setting, separate from the classic World of Darkness book counterpart known as Werewolf the Apocalypse. So it actually takes on a totally different setting. It has its own setting and takes on its own. That sounds so sucky. So artwork is pretty good, and information is very good. You also need the core book to actually play it, so that way you have so that way you have the full list of merits from the actual main core book too, to actually incorporate into your character. So thumbs up for all those all the way around. I think this is one of the biggest books that was ever made besides Mage the Awakening, and it kind of jumps around a lot, so yeah, give it about a thumbs down. But you basically can check it out about how there's even a section about how to run a Werewolf the Awakening game for a werewolf campaign game for Game Masters. So go ahead and give that a good check out, and the price is fairly decent. This was actually one of the earliest books I've ever started with, so I will have to say I will give it about an 8 out of 10. It does use the storyteller system, so it's a very simplistic system and very easy to learn. So, I give it an 8 out of 10. Not my most favorite game to run is Werewolf. I think my favorite one so far is just a plain Mortal or Vampire, but we will actually have to dive a bit more further into it, as I do plan on running a Werewolf the Forsaken adventure. Thank you. I said it instead of getting tongue-tied. Alright, we've been kind of going on for 30 minutes. Let me see if there's anything I didn't cover. We covered the lore of werewolves. We covered some aspects about how to make a werewolf, what they add into character creation, such as gifts, renowns, and merits. We didn't go fully into the information. If you want to go dive further in the information, I do recommend that you pick up a copy for yourself. Let's see. Oh, and the character. So, the one different thing that they did make about this is your character sheet for Werewolf is 2 pages, because not everything could fit on one page like that. Like in Vampire, everything was 1 page, and in the main core rulebook, everything was 1 page. So this is still 2 pages, but it still offers, as you guys can see here, it'll still offer you how to create a character, the quick reference portion down here, and oh yes, essence equals harmony. So harmony is like your mortality or your humanity, how well you remain good and somewhat intact and not go crazy into lunacy. That is like a new thing here. But like I said, you actually fill out. So once you get this portion filled out, then you add in your wolf form templates, because you go from the human form and your stats actually change with how you roll depending on what form you're in. So you actually have near human, wolfman, near wolf, and full wolf. So if I had to guess some quick things, you know what a human and a regular werewolf looks like. So near human is like a little bit of fur. So imagine teen wolf here. Wolfman would be, if I had to guess, if you ever seen the movie Wolfman, a little bit more fur. So teen wolf here, where you got basically some claws and see some things. You know, you got claws like, oh god, what is a good example? Sabretooth from the X-Men movies, maybe? Ugh. The full wolfman, where you got fur all over your face and whatnot, and a bit more, a bit more claws. You're still mostly human. You're between half human, half wolf. The near wolf, which that is like, okay, so imagine Underworld, the Lycans from Underworld, and then your full wolf form, where you're actually fully a wolf. So imagine the wolf animals. So human, hairy human, werewolf, direwolf, wolf. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's basically how it comes out. Werewolf Forsaken, I think, is one of the most confusing confusion sections of World of Darkness. But once you kind of dive into it, it kind of gets a little better every time. You get a little bit more used to it once you realize, once you thumb through it. For me, it is... I hope the review was good for you guys. I hope it was very enlightening, and hope my idea for my reviews is not to go through each section and pick out pieces and whatnot, but to get people more enticed into games that are, good. I'm pretty sure there are better ones out there, but I do like the first edition of Werewolf the Forsaken myself. So, alright, well, for everyone who's joined me today, thank you so all the characters start as humans then, so no natural wolves. Okay, so let me actually answer that question for you, because that's actually in there. Yes, until you become of age to go through your first change. Let me see here. The first change that's what we want to look up. We want to look up the first change. Let's see here. It's Wednesday. Sorry, there's someone in my house I didn't know, but I know who they're, the kid. I've got my kids, got them taken care of. Let's see here. The first change. Wolf-blooded. The wolf-blooded. Okay, so there was the wolf-blooded, the ridden, the hosts. It says here the wolf-blooded are actually some problems. Problems features within PAX territories can make its life more difficult, either by making its duties harder to perform or be outright violent. Again, so the wolf-blooded are dangerous. Some know just enough about werewolves that they might reveal PAX secrets under interrogation. Oh God. Sounds like PAX need to actually eliminate them rather than keeping them around. Let me go to the table of contents and look up. I need to look up the first change for you guys. To answer your question there, Colin. Oh, first change, 25 to 27. There we go. Beasts of the Moon. The first change. Okay, the first change is what makes a werewolf. Before it happens, a werewolf knows little about what she or they are. She knows that she's frequently prone to fit of terrifying anger, and I'm gonna say life. They use a female, the female, so they probably one of their test characters were probably female. And their life seems to be more strange and troubled than it should be. But they still consider themselves humans. Yet when the moon hangs in the sky and the change begins, they discover how wrong they were. So it's actually something you're born with. The original had 3 types: human, metis, lupus, depending on what the natural form is. Metis being Garuru. Yeah, this is more of like you're playing a werewolf character and you've always been a werewolf, and then one day the change takes on. When the first change comes on them, their body ripples uncontrollably between all 5 forms. They go through partial transformations, their face and skin. Oh, God, that sounds horrible. So they go through all 5 forms back and forth, until they become stable. That is crazy. That's crazy. I didn't really read that very thoroughly. So why does it happen? But why? What about the first change so powerful, distorts, even destroys a werewolf's life before it even happens? The imminent first change is a source of subtle turmoil in their own right. Like ripples in a dark pond, the force churning in the werewolf's heart sends pulses of supernatural emotions through the area around them. The fury rising to the surface begins to warp the spirit world around the Uratha, perhaps even temporarily weakening the walls between flesh and shadow. Definitely sounds more based on real-life legends than the original version. Yeah, I think that's why I like it a little bit more. I don't know why I did just fall in love with this line of World of Darkness books, and I haven't really broken away from it since. Alright, well, that's everything I have at this time. I want to say thank you guys for joining me today. I hope this did entice you guys. I do give the book an 8 out of 10 if you like the 10-star scale, but if you like the 5-star scale, I would say 4 out of 10. It is actually definitely worth checking out, and it does add in more story fun for if you wanted to use werewolf characters, defending themselves against a threat. And it sounds like they have a lot of threats and antagonists that actually come in their area besides just vampires and other people that they may have to fight against. They have threats of their own, such as those from the spirit realm, the spider hosts, the ridden, and so much more. Which in the end just adds more danger to the World of Darkness. Alright guys, well that is all I have. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to work hard, play hard, game on everybody. Have a great and wonderful evening.